Oh my God, I just love arguing with people online. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it so much.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Hope everybody is doing well. Just a quick update for those of you that were asking about Canadian content. I know I said I was going to be jumping on that. The reason I've delayed on it is there actually has been some issues with some Canadian content creators out here. I've even heard some stories of some larger, not massive, but bigger than me, YouTube channels that have actually been shut down due to, I believe it was CBC News out here in Canada. So I'm just laying low on that for now until I actually have a better feeling of it, because they are trying to pass through some new censorship bill of some sort. But in the meantime, we're going to be sticking with our usual American liberals, and tonight I am returning with more of the most beautiful, intelligent females of the left.
One thing that I see a lot when Trump posts something absolutely insane on True Social, like reopening Alcatraz or tariffing movies that are made not in America, which is a lot of movies. Also, I don't even know how you tariff a movie. But anyway, people will say, oh, this is a distraction. It's to distract you from the evil things that they're doing. But I would like to push back on that. Our president is not playing 4D chess, trying to distract us with something shiny while he does something else. The strategy here is very simple, and it's that there is no strategy. The answer is that our president has dementia. The reason why Trump acts the way that he does is because we made a senile man the leader of the free world and gave him an iPhone and his own social media platform. We have a mad king who is surrounded by scheming advisors who are trying to push him in various directions to achieve their own goals. I would bet money that is what's going on.
What's going on right now is people are fighting to get their privilege back. Yeah. They're losing some of it. They don't know that that's what's going on, but that's what's going on. They're feeling oppressed enough to admit that they don't give a fuck about the oppression of other people, and they just give a fuck about their own oppression. Now that they're actually in the realm of possibly being openly oppressed, they're fighting to get their privilege back.
The Trump administration is leaving 13.7 million Americans uninsured. And you think Democrats are the ones that hate Americans? Trump hates the American people. He is not for America. He's for making himself rich.
If your religion has you believing that two consenting adults loving each other is wrong, you need to find a new religion.
You can't interfere with God's will. You can't just play God, okay? Then unplug her. Unplug Adriana Smith. We're not playing God here. Unplug her corpse, and we'll see what God has in store for her fetus.
How are we going to survive this? How? Stop saying it's only 4 fucking years. Some people aren't going to survive this.
Quick question for any of my EDS hypermodal baddies, POTS baddies. When do I go to the doctor when I can't feel my fingertips? I have been losing feeling in my fingertips since last night. I think I woke up around like 3:30. Fingers were numb, and that kind of numb where they feel like they're really big. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense. And like I can't bend them, like that kind of numb. And then I gotta get up and I gotta like shake out my arms and I gotta like crack my neck and do all this stuff. And the feeling comes back and then it disappears again. I don't have insurance and I cannot afford to go to the doctor. So at what point do I need to go to urgent care? Do I just ride this one out? It's okay at the moment. And then in like 5 minutes or so, it's gonna kick back in. I'm gonna smoke and see if that helps. When do I go to the doctor?
Okay, this is a grown woman. I know it's kind of a silly clip, but the whole point I picked it is this is a grown woman. She actually has a child and she has disabilities, and she's lived with these disabilities for years now, I'm sure. So she obviously has some experience at this, yet she does not know when she should go to a hospital. How does she know when it's time to bring her child to a hospital if something's wrong with her child? Now, I know us on the right, we're always advocating against abortion. Absolutely. And I'm not sticking up for abortion in any way here. But in situations like this, it almost shows you that they're not fit, not all of them, But a good handful of these people on the left are not fit to be parents. Now, I know that may sound a little bit judgmental. I've never seen any video evidence of how she is with her child. I've just heard her speak of her child before. So for all I know, she's a great mother, for all I know. But when you cannot take care of yourself, if you don't know when your fingers are going numb, what you should do, that's pretty alarming. But then we can look at this from a completely different angle. Perhaps she absolutely knows what to do, but she just can't resist getting in front of a camera and seeking attention. Now, going from memory, what I could remember about this young lady here is I believe she's 30 years old, has a child. I have no idea how old her child is. But if she does not even have medical insurance, now I know medical insurance can be expensive out there, but should you really, are you a fit parent if you don't have medical insurance? I'm sure that she has medical insurance for her child. You guys let me know how that works. If you could be, if you can have your child insured, but you are uninsured as a parent, let me know how that works. I'm not absolutely positive. But even if you have your child insured and you are not, what if something happens to you? You're leaving that child with no parent? Absolutely irresponsible. Gives you the impression, I'm not going to say that she is, but it gives you the impression of bad parenting. And it just shows you how weak-minded people are on the left. Again, as I stated in previous videos, they always state that they have some sort of disability or some sort of mental illness. They're always reliant on some sort of medication. Even at very young ages, they're showing signs of this. That's what's alarming to me. Somebody who's medicated, I look at it like, okay, you're a little bit older. It makes a little bit more sense. You went through a lot of stress in your life. I know I said that she's 30, but I've seen other situations where there's people out in the States that are literally in their early 20s that are on psych meds, which I find absolutely odd. If it's a situation here and there, okay. But it's extremely common. Believe me, guys, I go through a lot of these videos. But at the end of the day, anybody out there with any form of common sense, I don't even have to tell this to you guys, but for any liberals that may be watching that have the same queries that this young lady does, if your fingers are numb and then they're not, and then they're numb again, and then they're not, perhaps maybe you should actually go to the emergency room.
We live in a society that deemed third-party fact-checking thought control, but cheers on as AI language models are openly designed to repeat false information to its users as fact. They spent 10 years crying that movements like Me Too were Orwellian witch hunts, but they sneer with satanic glee at the deportations and detainments of critics of the state. They championed fantasies of ultimate individual liberty, of the right to live unsurveilled, and the freedom to live as one desires so long as they are not inhibiting upon the freedom of others to do the same. Now they beg for the cataloging of dissidents on Palantir models. They want to mandate the mythology they subscribe to as law. They want to outlaw behavior that falls outside the narrow confines of what is approved by the party. Is it not embarrassing to live without principle? Are you not ashamed to go about life advertising your lack of virtue? Do you think you'll be spared for these things? I genuinely want to understand the psychology behind this sort of submission.
Trump is hiding his cognitive decline from America, and the doctors are lying, and everything is a conspiracy. But not. I'm actually not lying. Its cognitive decline is getting faster and faster and faster and worse and worse.
Public service announcement. Men, if you're not safe for all women, you're not safe for any women. So many people out here are trying to get at girls they're attracted to or things like that. But then people who they're not, they are not safe for. And again, if you're not safe for all women, you're not safe for any women.
You know, I sincerely wonder how many people he's gonna pay to go to his stupid fucking parade. Y'all talking about what it's gonna cost for the parade. What about the paid parade goers? You know what's happening.
Hear me out. What if Republicans don't actually give a shit about kicking everyone off of Medicaid and SNAP benefits, because most of their constituents do depend on these programs that they're currently cutting in this big beautiful bill to literally live, and so they don't give a shit if people live or die because they don't plan on us having the ability to vote them out in the midterms because we won't have any voting rights.
You're telling me I cannot play a musical instrument.
Correct.
I can't bang my drum sitting at a park. Because why?
You need to have a permit, but I can get you in touch with our superintendent.
Absolutely. President Trump, please, you need to fucking get a hold of me. Because this shit's fucking running out of control. This is my fucking kingdom and I'm taking it back. So if you're going to kick me out of my fucking place, shit's going to fucking roll down.
So the reason you guys don't see a whole lot of organizing within the political and anti-Trump situation is because white people don't know how to organize if it's not for like fascism or control. Because the people who are organizing for fascism and control are organizing for that. And we are literally asking people to organize off of the premise of being white, and they're incapable of doing that. Which I find ironic because they are absolutely, totally capable of categorizing other communities, such as the Latin community, such as the Hispanic community, such as the Black community, the indigenous communities. They can totally categorize them, but the idea of categorizing ourselves as white is just, it's not something that we can do. Irrelevant to that, white people need to stop trying to organize off of the basis of whiteness and start organizing off of the basis of geographical connection or like occupational connection or like common interests. Because if you're organizing off of the basis of whiteness, you're literally still propagating white supremacy. We have to start thinking about the boxes outside of the boxes they've already put us in.
Okay, we haven't seen her on the channel in a little bit. I had to rewatch her clip a couple times because at first I thought she was, I assumed that she was speaking about people in Congress, that she was actually speaking about the Democrats. And I'm like, but wait a sec, there's all sorts of brown-skinned people in the Democrats. What's she talking about? No, she's referring to the white liberals in the public. They don't know how to organize against the Trump regime because of the 92% that are resting. But then without separating the liberals, she says the only thing that they know how to organize is fascism and control. So are you stating that fascism and control tactics just come naturally to all white people? Even these people that are on the left, all these liberals that pander to the Black community, they just instinctually know, hey, I would be great at fascism. I know how to control people. So to be clear, the way she's relaying this message is that even the white liberals, fascism and control just comes to them naturally. They'd be fantastic at leading a regime in this. There's a lot of these white women that pander to the Black community, but this one here is something special because pretty much every clip of hers that I've seen, if you guys remember back in November when all the Liberal Tier videos first came out, she was one of the first ones that were out there and she looked like an absolute loon job. My question here is, do you think crazy people know that they're crazy? Do you think that she can actually look back at this video after she records it and doesn't really realize just how insane she looks? Not just with the words that she's saying, but the actual facial gestures that she makes. She looks absolutely bonkers. She's got a lot of built up anger. You can see it. You can see that anger is just pent up in her, and I don't even know if she's just straight up one of these pandering white women. She might actually truly have hatred for white people, despite the fact that she's white. Now, what you really do have to question here, though, is what made her this way? What made this young woman? I would say she's probably 35-ish, so she's been around for a little bit, but what built up this hatred towards white people within her? Because let's be honest, the racist days, I'm 50 years old. I didn't really see much of these racist days. I've seen maybe some stuff on TV, but I did not actually live through any of it. Any of the white perpetrators from back then are no longer here. Any of the Black victims from back then are no longer here. So these younger people nowadays, both white and Black, they have never lived through these situations. They're just relying simply on history books, what they've been taught in school, what they've been indoctrinated in school. The truth is, how do you know if you can actually rely on the literature that's inside of these books? Let's truly be honest here. What type of racism is actually happening today? Of course, there's always going to be bigots here and there, but they're on both sides. They come in all sorts of different shapes, colors, and sizes. But then how come, say for instance, when a Jewish person is attacked, it's referred to as anti-Semitism. When a transgender person is attacked, it's considered transphobia. When a Black person's attacked, that's just considered straight up racism. But when a white person is attacked, that's considered white supremacy and it's our fault. So in reality here, does that make me like on top of some food chain when we seem to be getting the shitty end of the stick? The truth is, at this point in time, 2025, all of you white individuals, or you like to refer to yourselves as YT individuals, all of you white individuals that want to hate your own skin color, at this point, you all just need to literally just shut the hell up. Now, the past few weeks online, a lot of social media sites, one thing that's really been trending and trending a lot is what they're calling Black fatigue. In reality, what I really think should be trending is literally white liberal fatigue. For all of you white liberals that don't like your own skin color and look down on other white people, very simple. Go pack a bag, head off to the airport, train station, whatever suits you best. Go to a country where your people do not exist and stay there.
I have to be really careful with how I say this because I don't want to get my account banned. But you know that group with the very unfashionable pointy hoods? We don't like them, obviously. And let's say I would happen to have a smidge of information of where they might meet in my local area. What would I do with that information? Who should I pass that along to? Okay, because I don't like them. But I don't want to get myself in trouble. Thanks.
I was put on an account ban warning in January for saying this, and I just got off of it like 2 days ago, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it again. Concentration camps were always the plan. They were always the plan, and if they suspend habeas corpus, that means that they can put you into prison without ever having convicted you of any crime. And the difference between a concentration camp and a prison is whether or not people have been convicted of a crime. It was always the plan.
I'm gonna say something really fucked up. This is your warning. This is fucked up. I genuinely hope that this is not successful and they are not able to deliver a healthy baby from Adriana Smith's corpse. Because I am terrified of the implications if this is somehow results in a healthy baby. Terrified.
PBS, that's what we're worried about right now. Eggs is through the fucking roof, and you worried about PB-damn-S. No gun control, no labor laws, no homeless laws. You're still getting killed by the police. People can't even make a livable wage right now. But Barney and fucking Dragon Tales and Elmo is the damn problem. Get the that expired orange motherfucker, that Velveeta Baltimore, just letting anybody in the damn White House. Is Rocco there? Because I'm convinced at this point that the Rocco's got to be behind this. And you know it's bad when Elmo has to tweet us. He needs a hug right now. You know it's bad. They're just not assassinating like they used to.
To the people who are talking shit about Joe Biden having cancer, how did they not know, spreading conspiracies or calling it booty cancer when it's not, because it's fucking prostate cancer, which is not the same fucking thing. Y'all have fucking stank ass, stank booty, stank coochie energy. Go wash yourselves. I said what I said.
You know how when babies just have tantrums because they get upset at something but they don't have the tools to express themselves just yet, so having a tantrum is the best they could do? Obviously it's okay though, because it's a baby. Now think about a Trump supporter not understanding something, not having the will to educate themselves, so they don't have the tools to express themselves. So therefore, they throw tantrums like babies. Just calling it like it is.
So over the weekend, when I was unplugging from the shit show we call America, I decided to watch the new Netflix documentary. I think it's like Hunting Bin Laden or something. And it basically is all about our government tracking Osama bin Laden down post 9/11 and murking him. So I'm watching this shit, right? I'm watching the first episode and it's talking about 9/11 and what we knew, what took place in the days after, how quickly we had CIA operatives on the ground in Afghanistan, all of that. The way that the CIA and the FBI and all of our national intelligence agencies were working behind the scenes to things that we didn't see. They got people that were on the ground. They got people that were flying the drones. They got all the people talking about the whole thing. And the only thing I could think of the entire time is just how fucked America would be with this administration in place if America was attacked. Fortunately for us, the people who did 9/11, Trump is now selling arms to in Saudi Arabia and accepting planes from. If there's any God, that plane will just fall from the sky with him on it. But the entirety of the time I was watching this documentary, the only thing I could think about was just how dangerously exposed America is now. It should literally terrify everybody.
Okay, 9/11. I'm not really going to dig deep into this, guys, because, you know, it's one of those things here. So just in case, you know, just my opinion here, YouTube, not fact, whatnot. I'm not really going to get into much conspiracy theory about my thoughts on 9/11, although I do actually have a lot of them. But let's be honest, that was a terrible day, but there was a lot of fishy things. When you look back at it now, in they say that hindsight is 2020. There was a lot of strange things that were pointed out back then, but as technology advanced, we can see it with our own bare eyeballs that certain things just don't look right on the videos. But putting the 9/11 stuff aside, the reason I want to speak on this clip here is just because of a couple of things that she said. First of all, it seems that she's crediting George Bush for the efficient action that he took back then, more or less to make Trump look bad. Like, hey, if Trump was in charge back then, we would have been screwed. Quite honestly, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think Trump is very efficient when it comes to the military. He doesn't mess around when it comes to foreign countries, and no, liberals, it has nothing to do with racism, as you guys would like to believe. But what really gets me is right at the end of her clip. I was actually going to skip this until her last two sentences, where she says, what really gets me is how dangerously exposed America is now. This should terrify and frighten everybody. Just how incredibly stupid can some of you liberals be? When it comes to your military, Donald Trump is the safest, easily the safest president you guys have ever had. He takes defending your country to heart. You're honestly gonna seriously sit there and tell people over a camera, without saying it in direct words, but this is what you meant, you honestly felt safer under Joe Biden's administration? Your border wide open, literally pretty much all feminizing your military. The United States military on a global stage was starting to look like a big joke. You cannot have a mentally ill individual who thinks that he could just put on a skirt and tie up his hair and throw on some lipstick running your Department of Defense. Now I know all of you on the left want to be as diverse and accepting as you possibly can, but really look at that on the world stage. Another world leader, yes, would still speak to that Secretary of Defense in a very respectful manner, but you don't think as soon as they turn around and their backs are facing each other that they're not giggling at them? They're not giggling at the United States entirely for saying, hey, we're gonna get that person to be in charge of our military? I don't know much history about this individual before this individual transitioned and, discovered that he was a woman. So for all I know, this person was like an excellent Secretary of Defense before this. But the thing is, when you're actually displaying what would be considered mental illness, you cannot be in charge of the United States military. So besides that, no matter how much you guys dislike Trump, how terrible of a person you think he is, you cannot deny just how strong he is when it comes to your military and how much he wants to defend your country. Now, in terms of your border, remember the BS that Biden kept feeding you guys. And the truth is, with all the news that's coming out about Biden now, people are even questioning if he was actually running the country, and it seems that there's actual evidence to show that he quite possibly was not. What did he do? He wanted to blame Donald Trump because of his amazing bipartisan, he liked to attach those words to it, the bipartisan border bill that Donald Trump shot down. It was shot down for a reason. It was a god-awful, terrible bill. In that bill, it had, I believe it was $91 billion that were going to be leaving the United States in order to defend your border. In that bipartisan border bill, there was $14 or $15 billion that was going to be dedicated towards the border. Yet, they were very careful on how they worded that. It was going to be putting extra men there. I think it was an extra 8,000 or 10,000 people or whatnot at the borders. This was just going to make the flow of illegal immigration come into the country even quicker. The Biden administration had absolutely no intention of ever closing your border. They only started to do it near the end when it was election time to make it look like, hey, we're getting tough on the border. But then way before, I believe it was like 10 months before that bipartisan border bill was put together, there was another border bill that was presented to them by the Republicans, which was HR 92, I think it is, or HR 2 or something like that, and it made it through the House, and then it sat on Chuck Schumer's desk for well over a year, which pretty much instituted all of Donald Trump's border policies back. But no, they didn't want that because they needed immigration to keep coming through those border walls. So what Donald Trump said was absolutely correct. He did not need new legislation to close the border walls. All you guys needed was a new president. Now, I know all you liberals out there can see it. You can see it clear as day, though you'll never admit it, but your country is a heck of a lot safer now. You, on a personal, are a heck of a lot safer now with Donald Trump as your president. All right, guys, that's it for this video. If you guys are new to the channel and you're not subscribed as of yet, please consider doing so. If not, if you can like the video, share the video, comment, press some buttons, do something with it. It'll be greatly appreciated. And until then, I shall see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, guys.
I'm a wedding photographer, so I've had a wedding on the books for today for probably more than a year. And I was able to participate at our state's capital for the first 50-51 protest, and after I saw the date of this hands-off protest, I can't tell you how bummed I was that I wouldn't be able to be there in that energy, surrounded by people.
And I literally just got into my car after working all day and scrolled TikTok for a little while, and I just cried. I am so proud of America for actually stepping up and using our voices and not being afraid to be seen and have empathy and care about what's going on. Hundreds of thousands of people showed up in cities all over the country, and I just heard the world too. So all hope is not lost. I hope we can continue to come together. I hope that these protests continue to get bigger and we get louder and we demand that everybody is treated equally and that this administration is held responsible for the shit that is going on.